Hey guys, welcome to today's video. This is Martin from martinmixing.com, and today in part 4 of our live mixing series, we will be having a look at what I'm doing on the master bus. We'll listen to some references, we'll see how our mix compares to the references that we have for this song, and we'll be doing a lot of other stuff. I think there will be a lot of tweaks that will be necessary. I'll revisit some elements of the mix that I've made previously, and let's see where it goes. If you're watching this on YouTube, please hit like and subscribe, and don't hesitate to join my Facebook group Mixing with Martin, where I have more exclusive content as well. And now, without further ado, let's jump right in. Okay, so as you can see, we have the mix here in front of us. We have already done the drums, we have done the bass, we have done a lot on the guitars as well. So everything sounds pretty good. Now, I think there are a few things that can be done still. And I would like to first compare our mix with some of the reference songs. So let's have a look at this section here compared to Bring Me the Horizon and Slipknot. Okay, so compared with a happy song from Bring Me the Horizon, amazing song, love the album, we can definitely see that our mix is lacking a lot of low end. We can see in the spectrum analyzer that we have almost an octave missing in the bottom. The top seems quite good, the mid-range seems really good as well, even just from listening to it but also looking at it. Now let's see what happens when we do Slipknot, but let's just turn down the volume. Okay, so compared to Slipknot, we're looking a lot better actually. The lows are quite similar, so I think we'll go to an in-between solution. The top seems good. Of course, there's a very essential mid-range missing in our mix, in our song, because there are no vocals. So we will have a dip in the 1-2K range, which will, perceive audibly as well. So we have to be careful not to overcompensate for that. If we had vocals, I think the results would be quite similar, which is a really, really good thing. So let's disable this and let's just see what we can do to make this mix bigger and better. So as you can see, I'm trying different EQs to fix that low end issue. I think the top is good. I added a little bit of the fresh air thing. It adds a bit more, mid-range, a bit more treble. I find it usually when I mix, or I think that's the case in every mix, there's always a little bit of top end missing. So This is something, as you can see, even in the mix before, all I was focusing on was fixing the top end, because when you record something, microphones are just not as sensitive to that high frequency range. We also have this thing that popular music is becoming brighter and brighter and brighter, although we do see a reversal of that in recent trends. But with an aggressive song like this, we have to have a really, really powerful mid-range and treble, I think. So, as you can see, I'm trying two different master bus settings here, 2:1 ratio versus 4:1 ratio, faster attack, slower attack. Here, I think I prefer a 4:1 ratio and 10 millisecond attack compared to 2:1 and 3 millisecond. Let's see what happens if you have 4:1 and 3 millisecond attack. So I like how the kick sounds with 4:1, 3 milliseconds, but I think the snare gets a bit choked. We definitely do not want to choke the snare. So I much prefer this. I'll use this. We can see we're still a bit too loud. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to my trimmer and I'm gonna start dialing back. So I do want a bit more headroom just because I know what is still to come. So of course I know this will affect my tape, so let's have a look at the tape. 2-inch master tape, 30 IPS for best low end and best treble as well. And I like the FG9 here on my master bus. It's a bit of color. I've been using this since the start of the mix, so I'm not gonna start messing around with this now. As you can see, I'm not choking the mix with my master bus compressor. I hear that a lot, that people just crank the threshold down way too much. And what you get is a horribly kind of distorted, quiet yet loud, weird kind of mix. Let's just see how that sounds. So this is quite choked now, but as you can see, the needle is only really moving between the 12-16 dB range, which means that what's happening here is that we are lowering the volume and then we are manipulating the level still only just a few dB. Why? Because the compressor can't really recover to a zero state. So if your needle in the compressor gets stuck at one point and then moves from there, then everything that you have below that point, so in this case, really what we did, we lowered the volume of the song by 8 dB, and then we are applying compression of between 8 and 12, so about 4 dB, realistically speaking. I think if we go to a section where there's a bit more quiet maybe. But not really. This is just throwing everything off. It just makes everything quiet and we're not really having more compression, okay? Why? Because the needle never recovers to zero. We are always applying a minimum of 8 dB of gain reduction, which essentially means, again, that we have lowered the volume of our mix by 8 dB. And then everything what happens between or above 8 dB is our compression. The manipulation of the dynamics, actually. So, you know, let's just not do that. So this is a good setting because you can see that the needle pretty much recovers to zero in these points, which means that we are actually applying this compression instead of just lowering the volume of the song. So I don't really use this compressor here. I don't like the limiter of this plugin either. I think it is distorting a bit too early and a bit too much, but I do like this dynamic perception knob. And these two, the low punch and detail, work quite well as well, in my opinion. So I do like that. So we're in quite a tough spot. The two references that I have are quite different. So we can either go in a more subby or a more kind of mid-rangey direction. I think that this song is more in the Slipknot kind of area. So I think I'll use the EQ, this one here, to add a bit more. So now I think that we need, just because the treble of the overheads is so far on the right, I need to add a little bit of reverb to kind of spread that out. Let's see. Cool, so that works. Now, I had this thought that there's something we could explore, which is making the snare a little bit bigger. I think there's still opportunity here to make the snare a bit bigger. And really, I just want to show you a trick that I use quite often, actually, which is when I have a snare, I might add a sample to it, but not in the conventional way. I might not blend in a whole sample to the snare, but only use the room or the reverb of the program that I'm using. So let's see what we can do here. Let's set this to snare. That is cool. I really love, that's Control D if you're wondering. That looks pretty solid. So let's take an instance of this here. So this is really thick, a really, really cool sound actually. So I'm gonna add this sound in. As you can see, I used a little bit of the direct, but I use mostly the rooms here. I like the shorter one. I think that will blend better and work much better with the tempo of the song, which is, you know, it's quite a fast song, so I don't want to use reverbs that just swamp everything out, that just drag out the tail of the snare and makes it kind of a mush. I don't want it. I want a nice and tight snare sound still, but maybe with a bit more reverb. And I don't like to add, well, rarely do I like to add reverb in the traditional sense to snares because there's often a lot of bleed, there's often a lot of issues, and the reverbs are just not quite doing what I want, and they never really act like a real room. So it's better to have something like this, which is just a real recorded room on the sample. I actually have a snare library myself that I've been building over the years of sampled really good snares in different studios that I sometimes use. But, you know, I wanted to use this one now. So let's see what happens if we blend this in with the original snare. Pretty cool. Let's see what happens. Yes, 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 this is so much better. Now let's see what happens if we send this to all the rest. Drum bass, let's see what happens if we add some of the parallel stuff as well. Let's just see actually what we have on the original. Let's see how it sounds. It's gonna be loud, I think. So this is a lot bigger. This sounds really good actually. Definitely let's get rid of that sharp transient there. So this is really good. I think we have added a lot of body and a lot of depth to this. Not just the song, but the mix, not just the snare, but the mix itself. I think the snare seems much thicker. It has some depth, it is bigger, it has more of a thud, which I couldn't get out of the original snare, unfortunately. I mean, this is skinny, but you know, this is how snare sounds when it's recorded and when it's blended. If you add the overhead and the ambient, it is much bigger. So we have to hear things in context, you know. But. I mean, that is really cool. I love this a lot. I think this is really cool. Wait, that's gonna be loud. So now let's see what I would do. So if Bratislav was a client, I would send him this mix now. I would say, hey dude, how's it going? Here's mix V1. Please let me know what you think. Any adjustments or suggestions are welcome. I can do whatever you want. But I would also send a loud version to him so he has an easier time comparing my mix to any references without having to go to the painful process of level matching everything and having to put, you know, reference songs into DAWs and all of that nonsense. So let's see if we can find a nice preset here. Ah, that's interesting. Ah. Not sure I like this preset. It is killing my kick and snare a little bit. This seems to be better, but let's also try a different limiter. Let's see what happens with the maximizer. Let's see. Alright, thank you, Isotope. I definitely much prefer this one. I think it has retained much more the thickness, it is fuller. I hear more the snare and the kick. Let's see what happens here. I think we can add a little bit more of the super lows on the bass guitar. I think, I mean, as much as I love those two other bands, I think we are actually a bit more powerful and a bit more energetic. I think compared to Slipknot now, we are much fuller, much bigger. And compared to Bring Me the Horizon, we are a bit more powerful in the upper mid-range, in the treble, yet we do have a lot more body on the bottom relative to Slipknot. So we do have, I think we have a nice blend of those two references. We do have a nice compromise between the two. Let's check the spectrum just for the fun of it. Let's see if yeah, we are really, really close to Slipknot. We have a bit more top and our bottom is a little bit different. Yeah, I'm not gonna complain. This is pretty good. Very good. And now, as the last one, let's compare our mix to the original mix by the artist himself. Let's see. I think we did a good job. We have a much more powerful kick, much more powerful snare. The left and the right guitars are more even. We have a crisper top. I'm not gonna complain. I think this is really, really cool. I'm really happy with this. But that's just my opinion. Let me know what you think. Give me some comments in the comments below, whether you're watching on Facebook or on YouTube. I'm really curious how you are liking it and what you think still can be done to this mix. And I'm gonna wrap it up here. There will be more videos about this song. There will be a whole takeaway video to see what we learned from this. And I will also do a Sonarworks video in the context of this song. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add the Sonarworks back on because I can't record with it. And then I'll see what the adjustments I need to make and, you know, tell you my thoughts. So this is it for today, guys. Thank you for watching. If you are watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. It really helps me a lot. And please do join my private Facebook group, Mixing with Martin. If you are watching in my Facebook group, good for you guys. Let me know what kind of videos you would like to see in the future. And I'll be seeing you in the next video. Until then, take it easy. Happy mixing. Bye-bye.